Hey everyone. Okay, I wanted to hop on. I save Thursdays for my clarity calls. And so I talked to a lot of moms today, like a ton of moms. And there's a few things that came up that come up in a lot of calls, but really came up a lot today is number one, mom guilt. And mom guilt about all kinds of stuff that I want to kind of present an idea to you to help you reframe this, because I know that when I say no mama guilt aloud, some of you guys are like, yeah, that's not happening. I still feel guilty. And it's really hard to get yourself out of that. So number one, I want you to consider that maybe your child is right where they need to be. And that can be really hard whenever your kid is like coming home from school and hates school or hates reading or has low self-esteem. And when I say right where they need to be, it doesn't mean that this is where they should stay or that this is like what their journey is supposed to be, that they're supposed to suffer. What I mean is maybe this is like they're meant to go through this and this is going to bring them to something even more amazing. And like, I'm going to give a really simple example that's like personal. And I could give like a gazillion, but for myself, I really struggled in school in my former years, like grade, I don't know, 1 and to like 7, 8 maybe. And like, look what I'm doing today, right? And so, and it doesn't mean your child can necessarily do what I'm doing, but it can lead them to something greater because of it. And I think of other kids who are now adults who had these experiences and it helped them end up where they are today. So that's number one, not to see like that there's something seriously wrong with where they are and you have failed as a parent. And that's where I get into my next point, and that's number two, is that a lot of moms feel like they should have seen the signs earlier. Like they're like, I think back, they hardly crawled, or they dragged their leg, or they had crazy constipation and diarrhea. The signs were all there. Of course, the signs are all there in hindsight because it's hindsight, and hindsight is 2020. So you need to let go of that, because for the most part, most of the moms I talk to are not reaching out to me when their children are 2 or 3 years old, or even 4 years old. Most of them are reaching out to me when their kid is in school and they're really starting to struggle with reading and learning and so forth. And the same was for me. It was the same case for me when my daughter was struggling. I didn't see the signs in the way that I think I should have seen the signs. I could have seen the signs and all of that type of stuff. So you need to release that and understand this isn't about it's too late. I should have seen it and now it's too late and so forth. Yes, for sure, it would have been ideal if we had caught this and that at 2 and 3 years old. But for the most part, that just doesn't happen. And it's not too late to catch up. Your child is going to be fine when you start addressing those root causes, which a lot of you I talk to, you totally are onto this. It's like, I think of the moms I talk to who I meet who are moms of older children, like adults, right? They're grandmas even. And they will say to me, man, where were you whenever I was, battling out every night with my child with reading? Now they're like 40 and they still have a reading difficulty. Or they will be, have a child who's 25 and they feel like it's too late. And I will say it's never too late. But if your kid is still like in school, whether they're like a child or a teen or tween or whatever, it is not too late to address those root causes and overcome those difficulties once you start uncovering the layers in terms of gut health and toxicity and nutrient deficiencies and the role that genetics play and brain training exercises and all of that type of stuff. So just be aware of that factor. And then also understand that there's like multiple causes. Most of the time, it's not as simple as just one cause. Most of the time, there's several layers. So I'll put a post sometimes like, okay, ear infections can contribute to dyslexia. Or if your child didn't crawl, it can be a major factor. And then someone will say, that's crazy because my other kid didn't crawl and they're fine. And that's fantastic. And that's most likely because your child only had one hit. Right? Everything else was great. Their digestion was great. This was great. They were able to bounce back from that and so forth. Typically, when I work with kids, there's several layers. There's like the digestion or the gut health. There's toxicity. There's maybe genetic factors. Maybe they're, they're picky eaters, so they're not even getting the nutrients they need. Maybe even there's trauma. And then you throw in like the whole brain organization with they didn't crawl, they didn't creep enough. One side of their brain is overdeveloped. They have infant reflexes that are retained. And then you start throwing in all of those layers, and that's where you're going to end up with a disorder. And that's why it's important to understand, don't search for the holy grail. You need to understand that this is looking at the full picture, looking at it through different lens and addressing the root cause and doing it layer by layer and in the right order. And so if this sounds overwhelming to you, I'm actually going to be doing a training on April 7th at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's a Saturday, perfect day to just tune in. I will have a replay for anyone who can't attend the live. But what we're going to be doing is we're not just going to be like talking about these are some root causes of your child's potential problems. It's going to be looking at specifically, it's going to be interactive and talking about going through with you and other people there. Okay, this is a factor. Can we determine if this is a factor for your child specifically? Does your child have XYZ symptoms related to candida? Oh, then probably they have candida. Does your child have all of these weaknesses and all of these strengths? Oh, okay, they probably have a left brain overdevelopment. And so you're going to come out with some really clear answers about what is going on with your child specifically. As opposed to just a general idea of like, these are the things that can cause learning or behavioral difficulty. So it's not like a one size fits all overview. It's going to be tailored to help you understand what's going on specifically with your child. So please keep in mind, it is never too late to help your child. Most people, that's what we're dealing with, whether it's a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old. I've worked with 15-year-olds. I've worked with 17-year-olds. I actually have worked with a woman as old as 67 years old. It's not too late. And please stop beating yourself up for thinking that you should be on top of things sooner. You should have noticed things sooner. You should have done things differently. You were totally in survival mode, probably like most parents. You didn't know. I didn't know as a mom the different things, right? And keep in mind that this is part of your kid's journey, and it might bring them to, once they overcome these things, to give them an incredible resilience from this experience, which is so hard to accept as a parent because we don't want our kids to suffer at all, right? It's like our instinct as moms to not have them suffer. And I think that instinct is there for a reason. And that's why, you're doing the things you're doing because that is your job, right? To help them overcome these difficulties. But just understand that it's not about mom guilt, and it's not about it's too late or you did something wrong. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you do want to know more about the training, it is $37 right now until April 3rd. That's the early bird, and then it will be back up to $47 after that. Save your seat, because I am only taking so many, because I want it to be an intimate, interactive training. I do not want it to be like 100 people or 50 people on Zoom, and then I can't help you on an individual level identify what's going on specifically with your child. So thanks for watching. I will put the link to sign up in the comments below, and do reach out if you have any questions. Have a fantastic day, and we're almost there. The weekend is almost there. Have a fantastic weekend, and make sure you rest up and take some time for yourself.